Hello and welcome back to an all-new episode of the Couchbrotatopodcast. On this week's show, special guest Jen is helping us get into the holiday spirit as we debate which 10 holiday classics deserve induction into the Couchbrotatopodcast Christmas Movie Hall of Fame. From timeless classics to modern hits, we're breaking it all down. Find out which movies make the cut right now on the Couchbrotatopodcast. Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Couch Brotato Podcast. My name is Russ, and with me, as always, is my co-host Adam. Adam, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's getting to be that time of year, the most wonderful time of year. So I am wonderful.
Well, to an extent, you and I are both battling, I guess, a Christmas cold.
Christmas cold, yeah, but I'm trying to stay positive. Got to power through it.
Yeah, this was the Christmas gift my daughter decided to give me was the sniffles, and now I sound like I'm going through puberty. So forgive me for all 5 of you that listen to this show that if I sound like I'm like a 13-year-old boy. So
I don't sound that great either, but at least they can hear our voices one last time before Christmas.
Yeah, to quote our episode from last week, Dumb and Dumber, you sound like a pathetic loser.
You know what? I think that's the first cheap plug, and that's like the earliest one that we've done.
Yeah, minute 19 into the show, man. We're getting pretty good at this.
We are.
Well, this is our last episode of 2024. We're going to take a couple of weeks off, celebrate the holidays with friends and family. So we decided to do a Hall of Fame episode, which seemed to be pretty popular episodes, at least from the numbers I get from Podbean, our internet provider that hosts our podcast. But we decided to do a Christmas Movie Hall of Fame episode. And I figured, we needed to get an extra person on here so we can just kind of get like maybe some movies we may have missed. Plus, it's always nice to have an extra guest. So I brought on the first lady of the Couch Potato Podcast. Jen is joining us on the show today. Jen, how are we doing this evening?
I am doing great. Sorry to hear y'all are struggling with the creeping crud a little bit.
That's okay. You seem to have missed the present our daughter gave to me. She must love me more.
Saving it for Christmas.
I don't know. I just hope that I don't get it.
I hope not either. As someone who has been sick on Christmas, from the time you get up early, when you have kids and you have to do the opening of the gifts, you have to put them together, the family stuff. It's just like being sick during all that is the fucking worst.
Well, we also have like a whole tour de force that we do on Christmas Day as well. So.
I have described our Christmas Day as like a rock band on tour. Like we literally start at like 6 a.m, go to her grandparents' house for Christmas breakfast, come all the way back to our house, get ready, go back out for Christmas dinner, go visit my mom. It's 6 a.m. and we don't get home till 5, 6 o'clock in the evening.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like that time that, you describe it as like a rock tour. It's that time that we went to go see Ozzy and he had like the flu or something. He's like, I don't know what's wrong with my fucking throat.
Well, I've always known that if Ozzy is, whether he was fucked up or not, like if Ozzy was under the influence of something, you're getting a great show. So, but when you caught him, I think it was, he's been sober for a while, so he's not quite on his A game.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll talk about Ozzy on another episode. But today we're doing the Christmas Movie Hall of Fame, which for those of you that have not listened to our episodes, me, Adam, and our guests usually compile a list of 10 movies. We take those movies and we try to come up with a definitive top 10 list to induct into the Couch Potato Podcast Movie Hall of Fame. Jen, this is your first time doing a Hall of Fame episode, so
it is.
So we're looking forward to hearing your input. You excited?
I'm very excited.
Well, Merry Christmas, because this is what I got you for Christmas.
You're so sweet.
I am. Yeah, and it did cost me anything except for
I would hope not.
But yeah, we're gonna put together the list of the Couch Potato Podcast Christmas Movie Hall of Fame. We left out television shows, things like that, because that just kind of broadens the spectrum. And we're a movie show. We don't do television.
Holiday specials. Specials don't count.
No, they don't. We're gonna get right into it, though. Jen, I'm going to ask you first. What is your top 10? But before we get into that, what was your criteria for picking your top 10?
So when you told me that we were doing a top 10 Christmas movie, I honestly thought that it was like our personal top 10, meaning what we personally would choose as our top 10 movies, not so much what it would be overall. Because I being honest, I can't put something in the top 10 category if I've never seen it. So movies such as It's a Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street, I unfortunately have not seen those. So I know that they're in, they're all over Google, that they're in the best Christmas movies of all time, but I can't personally say that because I've never seen them. So it's more so based on criteria of movies that I personally have seen. But also some of those I know are also considered to be some of the best Christmas movies of all time as well.
Okay. Well, what is your definition of a Christmas movie? Because I know some people have different ideas on what a Christmas movie is, but what's your definition of a Christmas movie?
Well, a Christmas movie to me is anything that occurs during Christmas time. So some are more obvious than others, such as movies like The Santa Claus or The Polar Express. Obviously, those are all Christmas, like the entire time. And then others such as, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, such as Die Hard. Some people don't necessarily think of that as a Christmas movie, but it takes place at Christmas time. So to me, that would be classified as a Christmas movie.
That's why I love you. Well, what would be the list that you'd present us as for Hall of Fame consideration?
You want me to do the whole list?
Yep.
Or do you want me to pick like what my number one is and then read
we just rattle off the list?
Okay, so my top 10 would be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, A Christmas Story, Elf, Bad Santa, Gremlins, The Santa Claus, A Christmas Carol, which would probably be, and I can't think of the year it came out. I want to say it was from the 70s. It's an older one. It's not the one with Jim Carrey. It's been done quite a few times, but the one that I'm thinking of, I believe, is from the late 70s or early 80s. I couldn't even tell you who played Scrooge or any of that. I just know that was my favorite one. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and then Edward Scissorhands are my top 10.
Okay. Edward Scissorhands is a bit of a surprise. Are you talking about like the black and white A Christmas Carol?
No, I'm talking about the one I think it's from the 80s.
There's one from 1984 that starred George C. Scott.
Oh, that would be it. Yep.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it this guy right here?
I think so. Maybe.
That is world-renowned Academy Award-winning actor George
Were there
C.
any?
Scott.
Were there any after that prior to the one that came out in the most recent one? I don't even know what year it was.
Well, last one I remember
2001.
2000.
Yeah, was Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the one with Jim Carrey. It was the one before that. So maybe that is the 1984.
Yeah.
That's that really weird one where Bob Zemeckis was fucking around with like the animation.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. It didn't stick to the classic story a lot.
He's going through a phase.
I guess. I don't know what he was doing, but I like the one prior to that the best.
There's also one from was it the 30s or the 40s?
Yeah. There was one in the 50s and then one in the 30s as well.
Yeah, I haven't.
1938.
Yeah, I haven't seen either.
That's the one I'm thinking of. I think that's the classic one, the 1938.
The 38. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
And then there's also one that may or may not crack me and Adam's list here.
Scrooged?
Not Scrooge, but that's a very good
that almost
interpretation.
made my top 10 list.
But that's a great one too.
Yeah, it is.
That is a good one. Yeah.
Adam, before we get into your list, what is your definition of a Christmas movie?
So when I was thinking about this list, I, of course, was like, okay, no Christmas specials, obviously. But I wanted to make it definitive enough. So I also gave myself the criteria of no sequels. So if I had Home Alone on there, I wouldn't pick Home Alone 2. If I had Die Hard on there, I wouldn't pick Die Hard 2. So that was one of my criteria there. I also decided, it has to be during Christmas time and have, more than like 10 minutes of Christmas. So I know that it used to be called ABC Family. I don't know what the channel's called now because I don't have cable television. But
I think it's Freeform now.
Freeform. Okay, thank you. They used to run Harry Potter on there every Christmas. And I was like, well, how was Harry Potter Christmas? Like, they have one Christmas scene. Like, that's not a Christmas movie. So more than 10 minutes of Christmas in the movie. A lot of people like to say Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie. I would say I respectfully disagree, but I just disagree. I don't care if it's respectful or not.
No, I don't respect anybody that has that opinion.
So anybody that says Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie has to also agree that Home Alone isn't a Christmas movie. Because it's not about Christmas. It's about a kid who gets left home alone. It just happens during Christmas time. So it's the same with Die Hard. Yeah, it's not necessarily about Christmas. It's about a terrorist attack at Nakatomi Plaza. But it happens during Christmas time. So both are Christmas movies in my book. That was my criteria for said list. So
okay.
All right. Get into the list here. This is in somewhat of a particular order, but I had some reservations on the last two, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But from top to bottom, my number one pick was Muppets Christmas Carol. In my opinion, the best iteration of A Christmas Carol. No offense to the 1980s version, but man, does Michael Caine, like, he does a fantastic job. We actually just recently unveiled a category on our podcast here that, keep one actor, replace the rest with Muppets. This is literally that, but as a movie that's super successful. And I mean, he does a great job as if he were, doing this in a Shakespearean play, but he's playing with Muppets. Reason why it's my number one pick. I'm not going to go as detailed for all these other ones because we'll get into that later, but Christmas Story is my second one. The Santa Claus, number 3. Die Hard, number 4. Go away, haters. Home Alone, number 5. White Christmas is number 6. Christmas Vacation is number 7. Elf, number 8. Number 9 and 10 are the ones that I'm kind of iffy about, that I'm kind of thinking about changing. But like I said, we'll get into that later. 9 is Jingle All the Way. And 10 is How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey.
Okay. All right. Good list. Good list. For me, a Christmas movie is defined by either it takes place during Christmas time, or like it has like the themes that you would find during Christmas, like, being like wanting to spend time with your or being with your family, or, learning a valuable lesson where it's not so much about you, it's about other people and things like that. So it's either it takes place during Christmas, or like it has a Christmas theme to it. So that's typically my criteria for this. And actually, when I was looking at movies too, it kind of makes me, it makes me think a little bit, like, why isn't, because like you take horror as an example, or like sci-fi, they have like, sci-fi is a genre, but then there's subgenres. Why can't they do that for Christmas movies too?
Right. Yeah.
Because there's Christmas horror. There's like Gremlins and Black Christmas and Krampus. They're like, why can't we have an action, like Christmas action movies like Die Hard, The Long Kiss Goodnight, Lethal Weapon?
Yeah.
Then there's like
I agree.
yeah, so like that's kind of like my thing. It doesn't have to be like a family oriented movie to be a Christmas movie.
100% agree.
So that like there's Christmas comedies, there's Christmas dramas like Love Actually, which was one I was giving strong consideration to because I caught some of that on TV recently, and I think for my money, it's probably Alan Rickman's second best role as a villain.
Yeah, no, he's really good in that. There's a lot of good actors in that it's one of those movies that I wouldn't watch on my own, but I actually started to like it as I watched it with somebody else.
Oh yeah, it's a really good movie. I haven't seen it forever until I caught it on TV. Like I just caught maybe 10 or 15 minutes of it.
Yeah.
Have you seen Love Actually?
I want to say I have, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, but it's been a long time if I've seen it.
It's got Alan Rickman, Emma Thompson, and Keira Knightley in that too.
Yeah, and Hugh Grant, Colin Firth, yeah, Bill Nye.
It's got pretty much the who's who of British actors that are over 50.
Right.
Did you say Bill Nye, like Bill Nye the Science Guy?
No, not, not Bill Nye.
I was
the
like,
Science
wait a
Guy.
minute.
It's
There's another actor named Bill Nye, or
plays,
somebody else named Bill Nye.
He plays Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah.
also
Okay.
Sean's stepdad, Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, but his real name is Bill Nye.
Yeah,
nice.
Except it's Nighy.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he's like an old rock star.
Oh,
He's actually really awesome in that movie too.
Yeah.
I did not give a shit about sequels being in mine.
Okay.
Because one of the movies on my list I enjoy just as much as the original, and I think usually when I watch the first one, I follow it up by watching the second one, even though the second one's not even remotely close to being on the level of greatness of the first one. It's still a damn fine movie. But my list, I have The Muppet Christmas Carol, my favorite adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And it was kind of like the genesis for that new category we got. Plus, Michael Caine is brilliant in this movie. To me, when I think of Ebenezer Scrooge, I think of Michael Caine's Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, he blows it out of the water.
I have A Christmas Story. I mean, a big cable network devotes an entire 24-hour block to showing it on TV.
Yep.
I don't know what that could be.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, a movie that we have done here on the show. You can't listen to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast.
Second one.
I think Christmas Vacation, it's pretty much, I think it's the standard for Christmas movies, especially modern Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Then I have Bad Santa, Home Alone. I have Die Hard, of course. Gremlins. I have Home Alone 2.
There's the sequel.
Yep. Then I have Miracle on 34th Street. Now, they did remake this back in
the 90s at some point.
Yeah, it was 95.
I didn't even see that one.
Attenborough was in it.
Yeah, it was Richard Attenborough. He's the guy who played John Hammond in Jurassic Park.
Okay.
And it has Mara Wilson in it, the girl from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay.
When she was a thing for a hot minute. Not nearly as good.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have only seen it a handful of times. It was my grandma's favorite Christmas movie of all time, though, and I think it's pretty much like The King of the Mountain. Like most people will ask what the greatest Christmas movie of all time is. It's not my personal favorite, but I think it has to be on the list. It's A Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the one that I wanted to switch out with either How the Grinch Stole Christmas or Jingle All the Way. Because you're right. It is the quintessential Christmas movie. They even watch it in French in is it the first Home Alone movie? I think it's the first one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're at her Peter's brother's apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're watching
it.
But I mean, like, whether it's your favorite movie or not, I think It's a Wonderful Life. It's like leaving Babe Ruth out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
You're right.
you may not like him. There are stories of Babe Ruth not being exactly the most, I guess, the most decent human being on earth, but for baseball purposes, he's arguably one of the 3 or 4 greatest hitters of all time. He has to be in the Hall of Fame, and I think It's a Wonderful Life has to be in there.
So I didn't even have it on my list, but and I feel ashamed that it's not on my list. So I think I'm going to have to bump one of my other ones, because anytime, for those that are listening, my wife is named Jenna. Jenna and I are out shopping, and there is a clearance on some item, whatever it might be. I actually quote that movie because it's not clearance, but Clarence is the name of the angel in that movie that comes down and, does all the, miracles for George. And every time there's a clearance, Clarence, please, I want to live again. I want to live again.
Well, you said it's in Home Alone. It's also in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation as well.
Yeah,
makes an appearance in that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, kind of take the reins here. I think It's a Wonderful Life has to make the list like now. I think that's on the list currently, like, or not.
What do you think, Jen? Do you think that we have to put It's a Wonderful Life on here?
I've never seen it, so I can't speak to the brilliance of it or whatnot, but I do know that it is a very beloved Christmas movie. And if you Google, because I Googled earlier today, just like to see if I was leaving anything out that I had seen or hadn't seen for a long time that should be on the list other than what I had. And I want to say that came up with every search that I did. And it was normally rated, I want to say it was number 1 on a couple, and it was at least in the top 10. So I would say yes.
Well, I think
based on that,
I think even up until like probably the 90s or so, I would say that it was probably the quintessential like viewing, like you had to watch It's a Wonderful Life around Christmas time. And I think now as people get younger and that movie gets older, it's kind of become more forgotten. And I think like movies like A Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation have kind of taken its place as like, viewing. But yeah, I mean, It's a Wonderful Life. It has to be on here.
What year is that from?
19.
Is it black and white? Is it
50 something?
I think it's older than that.
Yeah, 40 something. I thought it was like early 50s. It's probably 40.
It is 1946.
Wow.
Okay, because it has the whole World War II thing in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that World War I? You know what? I don't know.
Like I said, I haven't seen it in years.
I'll probably have to give it a watch after this podcast because I'm curious now how well I like it after all these years. But even if I don't like it, and which I think I do, I've seen it a lot. I think it deserves a spot on the list. Everybody's got a beloved Christmas movie, and I think that one has like hit the mark every year. Even way back when in the 90s too, when it was part of other Christmas movies.
Well, I think they used to show it on like broadcast television a lot back in the up until like the 80s too. It was on TV every year, like kind of like the Wizard of Oz used to be like a TV event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think they used to do the Wizard of Oz like the week of Thanksgiving. I think that was the same thing for It's a Wonderful Life too.
Well, I'm gonna have to check this out and see what it's all about.
See what all the hubbub is.
That's right.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, we all had A Christmas Story on our list, right?
We did.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that one has to be on there too.
Yeah.
It's pretty much become, with the way it's shown on TBS or TNT or.
Mm-hmm.
Is it TNT?
I don't.
I thought it
remember.
I thought it was TBS.
It's one of
It
them.
might be TBS.
One of the two.
It is.
But yeah, I mean, it's on pretty much, and I watch it in blocks too. Like I will catch like one part at like 9:30, and then like another part at like 12:45 or whatever, and I piece the movie together throughout the 24 hours. I never sit and watch it in its entirety, but I've seen it so many times, and I think it has that theme that when you're a kid, you always have that one gift that you want so bad, you will do anything to get it. You'll be on your best behavior, then you'll do something and you screw up and like, fuck, I lost the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, which was like the holy grail gift that I wanted as a kid.
I remember that.
Yep.
Or I don't know, the Nintendo Entertainment System, or I don't know, what was your big?
Mine was a CD Walkman one year. That was one of my big ones. I think that's what they were called. Was it called a CD Walkman?
Mm-hmm.
And then another year, it was a Barbie Dream House.
Yeah. And Adam, I'm sure yours
Nintendo,
is probably.
Yeah. I remember like my most vivid memory of a gift was my Game Boy that I got one year. I wanted that Game Boy.
Yeah. So, I mean, it has that theme of like, that every kid has identified with at some point, like the gift that you have to have. You don't know if you're going to get it.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Yeah. And then the fact that it's on TV like every year around Thanksgiving, and the fact it's just a fucking awesome movie.
Yeah. And it plays 24 hours on Christmas Eve. So was it Christmas Eve or day? I don't remember.
It starts Christmas Eve and it runs through Christmas Day. It runs 8:00 p.m. Christmas Eve and it goes to 8:00 Christmas Day.
And is it TBS? Is that right?
TBS. It's one of the Turner.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that we have it on like in the background as we're opening gifts because like every now and then I'll hear so I laugh every time.
Yeah, that line gets me every time.
Which line is it?
That sons of bitches, bumpuses when the dogs come in and eat.
Oh, yeah. I just like the mom chugging wine on Christmas morning like it's her job.
That's fucking gangster. We need to start doing that.
Oh, yeah. She is chugging that wine.
Well, they both are. They're both drinking wine on Christmas
Are
Day.
they?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Early
maybe we'll do that
morning.
one year. We'll just get loaded up on Christmas Day and watch the kids open up their gifts.
Sounds good to me.
I'll
Sounds
tell
like a great Christmas.
I'll tell your grandparents for not making it.
It is TNT
Okay.
is what that's on.
All right. Yeah, Christmas Story's got to make the list without a shadow of a doubt.
Yep.
And then we all had Christmas Vacation, right?
Yes.
Right.
I think that goes without saying. I think this is probably my favorite Christmas movie of all time.
This one's your favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas Vacation is. Yeah.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I as I get older and we have kids now, like I identify with like Clark just wanting to put together like the ultimate Christmas for his family, and
Yeah.
nothing seems to go right for him.
I know. Poor guy.
Adam, I mean, what are your thoughts on Christmas Vacation?
No, it's I think it's the same kind of feeling as Christmas Story, but from the parents' perspective, right? It's the instead of the gifts that you want, it's putting together the best Christmas for your family, and you still have all the traditions that everybody like identifies with, like going like at the beginning, going to pick out the Christmas tree, and then decorating the Christmas tree, decorating the house, and then always having the family that you want over, but then there's some other unwanted family over at your house. Like it hits all the right notes, hits all the notes of, relatable Christmas antics, I guess. So yeah, no.
And plus I've
definitely,
noticed in like the last 10 years, it's picked up steam, like in terms of like, it's pop culture relevancy.
Yeah.
Like at Christmas, like parties, they'll have like costume contests. They'll have like, there's always somebody there that has I don't know what the hat's called that flops over your ears, and the wife beater
Yeah.
in the little tiny robe that says "shitter's full." I mean, I've even seen Christmas sweaters that just have that on there with like the picture of Cousin Eddie.
Yeah.
On there.
Well, I mean, I have one that says "You serious, Clark" on it. So I mean, it's my all-time favorite Christmas movie. Always has been. So.
And plus, I think you and I sometimes too will like kind of throw like a little quote from the movie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I Cousin Eddie is my spirit animal. That's my Christmas spirit animal right there. So
Fun
I mean,
fact
you
for
know,
you: when the missus and I had an RV, she did the exact same thing in the exact same outfit.
oh, we had an RV. What part of the Matrix was that?
The part that glitched apparently because you don't remember.
I know, I do not.
But yeah, I think Christmas Vacation's got to be on here.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I think it's probably on most people's top 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We all had Home Alone too, right?
Yes.
Yes, we all.
Home Alone was on my list.
Without saying, I think Home Alone 2. I just the kid that it's kind of a little bit of a spin on A Christmas Carol a little bit. You know, the kid like kind of wishes that his parents weren't there anymore, and he gets his wish, and then he kind of realized like, fuck, I kind of need them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like him, like kind of learning his lesson. You know, like I kind of need them. Plus, like the last 20 minutes of that movie, where it becomes like essentially like a Looney Tunes cartoon, is still captivating cinema to this day.
Yeah. I think I watched a video of an actual doctor like diagnosing all of the injuries that Harry and Marv get, and if I'm remembering correctly, it takes 7 Harrys and 14 Marvs to get through Home Alone 1 and 2.
Yeah, it really is like a video game. It's it's like they entered the cheat code before the game started, just so they got extra lives.
Right.
Well, Jen, what's your thoughts on Home Alone? Why has it resonated so much? What, 34 years later?
Oh man, I always wanted to be Kevin McAllister when I was little. When that first came out, and even a couple years after that, I just thought it was so cool that such a little guy, I mean, essentially Evie's age, could come up with what he came up with. And I just wish that I could come up with something similar to I didn't want to be left home alone, but basically to prank my parents, not to cause injury, but something as clever to, play pranks on them basically, during the Christmas season. And why I resonate with it so much now, like I could see our kids doing something like that. If I don't know, I could see them doing something like that. God forbid they got home alone. They would never be left home alone. But I'm just saying, I feel like they'd be okay because they're clever enough to think of something like that.
Oh, when I was trying to think, I was 10 when this came out. I wanted to set up booby traps. I wanted to fuck somebody up.
Did you? Of course you did.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, like if someone breaks into this house, like I've got to have paint cans on strings so I can throw up. But yeah, I mean, it's that thing where like, I think it resonates where the bratty kid kind of has to learn his lesson. Like, hey, I need my mom and dad.
Right.
And then, I mean, that message along with essentially combining it with like, essentially he's a superhero for like the last 25 minutes of the movie. I think that makes it a holiday classic.
Let's I need to address the elephant in the room though when it comes to Home Alone. Let's be real. The Home Alone mom is the worst mom in cinema history ever. Bar none. She literally, like, okay, so definitely not his fault. The incident in the kitchen wasn't his fault. He didn't get his cheese pizza. He was upset about it, but it was started by Buzz. And then the chaos ensued, and then they all blame Kevin. And it's the same thing in the second Home Alone too. During the choir scene, it wasn't Kevin's fault, but they all blame Kevin. Then he gets sent up to the attic, and he's like, "I wish I didn't have a family anymore." And then the mom has the audacity to say it again. Maybe it'll actually happen. Like, who says that as a parent?
I try to chalk it up as stress, like Christmas stress. But yeah, that's a pretty shitty thing to say to your kid.
Yes, it is.
Right.
And I don't know about the worst mom in cinema history. Have you seen Requiem for a Dream? Ellen Burstyn's.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty
or
bad.
or Mommy
Okay.
Dearest.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll do worst moms in cinema history as a top 10. But
All right. Well, I'm
she's
going to
on the
remember that
list.
you have her on here.
Yeah.
Now I think we're starting to get into the point of the show where we kind of had like some of us had similar ones, but some of us didn't. Like Adam and I had Muppet Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was one I did not have.
Have you seen a Muppet Christmas Carol?
I have when I was a kid. It's been a long time.
I'm surprised it didn't make your list. The Muppets are awesome. First off, that's why I have it on there. The Muppets are awesome.
I love the Muppets. I don't know why I didn't put it on there. Like I said, probably because I haven't seen that in such a long time. It's just not one that immediately came to mind for whatever reason. Just like I love the Muppets, but I haven't seen the Muppets in forever. You know, the movies, when I was a kid, I loved Miss Piggy. I had the stuffed animal. I had the Kermit the Frog. I think it was on Saturday mornings, if I'm not mistaken. They had the Muppet Babies. I watched that on Saturday. I watched the regular, just the puppets, and geez, I don't even know how many movies there are, but there's quite a bit. Went and seen all of those. It's just been a long time since I've seen it.
The reason I have this on my list is the fact that I think A Christmas Carol for like younger kids, it might be a little
dark.
Yeah, especially with the ghost stuff.
Yeah.
But I think if you watched it in the prism of the Muppets presentation, I think it's like they can enjoy what is really a great story.
Yeah, I can see that. They're using different characters to make something macabre more entertaining.
Well, it just makes it more appropriate
and
for
puppets
kids.
And yeah, of course.
And like Adam and I said too, that I think that Michael Caine's Ebenezer Scrooge is like, to me anyways, the definitive portrayal of that character.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say we'd probably get some heat for not getting like it escapes me the actor that plays him in the older version, but no one in that age demographic listens to this show anyway, so I don't have to really care about it.
Right.
I don't have to worry about some 75-year-old woman emailing us, or first off, her grandson showing her how to email us. But then,
well, she'll snail mail us. It's fine. She'll write it out.
Yeah. Well, on Christmas Day, we'll probably get an influx of. But I think Michael Caine's portrayal is the definitive version of this character.
I would agree with that.
I actually just watched it 2 days ago, I think is what it was. He, portrays the emotions of, a person acting with humans. And I think that's difficult to do when you're acting with humans anyways. And the fact that he does it when he's acting with Muppets is, above and beyond. But like, he still makes you feel bad for this, broken man. Even though like he's like, ruthless at the beginning. You see scenes like when Belle leaves him in the middle of the movie, and then when his own nephew plays the 20 questions game, and the unwanted, ugly, foul creature that he's thinking of is Ebenezer Scrooge, and he's like, heartbroken that his own nephew thinks that poorly of him. Like, he portrays that super well. And it's like, oh man, this guy is like bringing his A game to this movie.
Yeah, he's really good in it. It's not I'm just taking a paycheck, Michael Caine. He's like, okay, I'm going to do some acting in this.
Yeah.
Step aside, Muppets. Let me show you how it's done.
Wasn't he in Batman?
He was Alfred in the Chris Nolan Batman movies.
That's right. That's what I thought.
And he's also in Jaws 4.
Jaws 4. Interesting.
Well, I mean, he's been in tons of movies.
Oh,
he's a very well-renowned actor.
I was going to say I've heard of him and knew he was well-renowned, but Jaws 4 is an interesting choice to choose one of the movies he's been in.
Oh, Jaws 4 fucking sucks.
Oh.
Awful movie.
Does he make the movie, though?
No, he does not. That movie is like Michael Caine is like, hey, I'm putting in a pool. I need money.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the paycheck kind of a thing. Gotcha. Okay.
I think I remember him saying during one of his interviews that you never turn down a job because, you never know when you're going to get your next job. And he was one of those actors, even if he was like, well decorated, if he was offered a job, he's like, yep, I'll do it because it's a job. So
are we putting Muppets in a maybe?
I think we should put Muppets on the list, to be honest. But that's just me. I think two of us had it on there.
Well, it's 2 against 1. So, yeah, I mean, it belongs on the list.
So how about this? We had Christmas Carol on all 3 of our lists, but 2 of us had a Muppets Christmas Carol. So, in a sense, a Christmas Carol has to go on the list. I would argue for...
All right, Muppet Christmas Carol going in.
Okay.
All right.
Me and Jen had Bad Santa. Adam, did you have Bad Santa on your list?
I did not have Bad Santa. Great movie, but I didn't have it on my list just because the other ones kind of like, I feel like they were, I don't want to say more Christmassy, but I've watched them more than Bad Santa. So Bad Santa is one of those ones that I don't watch every year. So
Bad Santa is a tradition in our house.
It is.
We watch it pretty much every Christmas. I'm going to let Jen take the point on this one because I think she loves this movie more than I do. But what makes Bad Santa such an awesome movie?
It's delightfully inappropriate. That's one of the things I love the most about it. It just gives a different. Well, I'll just let the cat out of the bag. I'm not a Christmas person per se. My favorite Christmas character is the Grinch. And I love Christmas for my kids. Our kids, rather. And that's pretty much it. I like the lights. I like seeing how excited the kids get. I do love spending time together with family. But all in all, like the whole concept of what Christmas is, it can be just a shit show. And I don't like the traffic. I don't like how rude people are. I don't like not being to navigate through a grocery store just to go buy milk. Yeah. But anyhow, that being said, I just like the realness of Bad Santa, because I know for some, Christmas is not all snow angels and beautiful Christmas trees for everyone. For some, like Billy Bob Thornton in that movie, he's just trying to get by, just stealing money. And I just like how raw and terrible. And I just like that it's, a lot of Christmas movies you see are these feel-good Hallmark type things, which are great. They're great. But I like the other side of the coin, which is Bad Santa. So,
I think that's what makes this one so great is the fact that it's not a cheerful movie. It's...
Mm-hmm.
And Santa Claus is supposed to be like this beacon of absolute good. This is a man that spends an entire night delivering gifts to children all around the world that have been good. And like you take the mask off and it's this guy who drinks, smokes, womanizes, gambles, pretty much a piece of shit human being.
Has a lot of sex.
Yeah. It's portraying like the epitome of good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this movie so great is the fact that it's not a cheerful movie. It's not a I mean, it's kind of a feel-good movie because he kind of redeems himself in the end. He does look after the kid, but yeah, Billy Bob Thornton's Willie character is
he's a piece of shit.
Not a very good person. And it's not one of those things where it takes him like basically most of the movie to realize that he kind of likes this kid.
Mm-hmm. But even the way he talks to him at the end, if you didn't know the movie and it was real life, you think, Jesus, like that guy, he treats that kid like shit. I mean, even in the letter that he's writing to him. So, I mean, it's just, and the way that he treats Lauren Graham is not nice. Like, I wouldn't go after somebody like that, but she just like totally adores him. So
are we putting Bad Santa in the strong consideration category?
Yeah, I'm for it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll put that one on the list, but it could get bumped.
Okay. Works for me.
Die Hard. I'm not going to argue this when Die Hard gets in because it's kind of becoming a recurring theme that every Hall of Fame episode we've done, Die Hard has made the cut. So
yeah.
Die Hard gets in simply because we might as well just call this the Die Hard Appreciation Podcast.
I'm not going to argue Die Hard whatsoever. So
yeah, a movie that you, I think, seen for the first time a few years ago.
I believe so.
And what did you think of Die Hard?
I enjoyed it very much.
That movie will get played at some point on Christmas Day.
Well, I would not expect anything less.
And I hope our daughter enjoys it, watching Bruce Willis run through the Nakatomi Tower with cut up feet.
We'll see how long she lasts.
It's Christmas, Cleo. It's the time for miracles.
All right. See, I'm trying to think what we've got left here. All right, Jen, you and I had Gremlins.
We did.
Adam, you did not have Gremlins, right?
I did not have Gremlins. Reason being is because one of my criteria, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. One of my criteria was only one unconventional Christmas movie on my list.
Okay.
So
that's Die Hard.
Die Hard, yep.
I'm making a strong contender or consideration for Gremlins. It takes place during Christmas. Me and Jen are fans of the horror genre.
Yes.
You more much so than I am, but we both enjoy it. It's a kind of a different take. If you were to ask me to pick my one horror Christmas movie, this will be my go-to. And actually, fun fact, I believe this was the very first Christmas themed episode we did on the show was Gremlins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which you can listen to wherever you get your podcasts.
That's right, Adam. You tell them, dude.
That was a good plug.
But I mean, Gremlins for me takes place during Christmas. I just think it's kind of like Bad Santa. It's kind of a demented take on Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And sometimes, like for me, anyways, like I don't want like sweet bubbly tales for every Christmas movie I watch. You know, sometimes I like to go like, hey, you know what? That looks nice going down that road, but let's go down the dark road, see what's going on down there.
Yeah.
Plus, it's got fucking Gremlins in it. One of the best movies of the 1980s.
Yes, I would agree with that.
But you said you left it off the list. Is it simply because you wanted one unconventional Christmas movie?
Yeah. Only reason. Yeah. Other than that, it can be on the list.
All right. Well, I will put Gremlins in the maybe category. An interesting one that Jen had was Edward Scissorhands.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is one that I never really thought of as a Christmas movie, but I haven't seen Edward Scissorhands a bunch. I've only seen it maybe 2 or 3 times. And it's been a hot minute since I've seen it. So, Jen, I want you to fill me what makes Edward Scissorhands a Christmas movie.
Well, at the beginning of the movie, it's actually Christmas time, and it takes place. Winona Ryder's an old lady, and she's telling the story of Edward Scissorhands, but she's telling it in third person, so her granddaughter doesn't know what Winona Ryder's actually talking about herself, basically. And she basically is telling about how it never snowed until Edward Scissorhands came down from the house on the hill. And so she goes back in time to when she was a teenager and how they met. And it essentially is like a desert where she grows up. It's in one of those like 60s suburban, perfect manicured lawn. The dad leaves at such and such time. All the women are housewives and, they send the kids off to school and then they get together with the ladies, so on and so forth. But the movie itself, when Edward Scissorhands is found, it's around the holiday season, but it kind of gives a different focus to Christmas in that it's Christmas in the 60s. It's Christmas in, a really warm place like California where you normally would not have snow. And then when Edward Scissorhands leaves, because everyone thinks he's violent because he's cut, a waterbed up and he cut Winona Ryder's face and so on and so forth, he's misunderstood. And when he goes back up to the hill to basically live in solitude, so he's not ripped limb from limb, essentially, when he's cutting ice sculptures, that's the snow. And in one part of the movie, I think the quote goes something like, "It never snowed until he came," or something like that. So he kind of signifies an area that never saw snow getting snow. So it kind of gives a different perspective in, I'm trying to think of the right words to how to say it. It gives a different perspective of Christmas. It's very Tim Burton, he's one of my favorite directors. And it's very whimsical, yet you have this taking place in the 60s. And then you have a snowy wonderland because of this magical creature that was put together by Vincent Price. Mm-hmm. So it's just I don't really know how to describe it other than that, but it's just a very different take on Christmas. It's not sad, yet it is. So it's not, a bubbly Christmas movie, but it's also not, something like Black Christmas or Bad Santa or something like that. It's kind of an in-between kind of a thing, which is one of the reasons why I think I like it so much as well.
But as a Hall of Fame nominee for Christmas movie, like, would it be, the whole point of the Hall of Fame would be like, for me, when you're thinking of Christmas movies, is it the one that instantly comes to mind?
For me, yes. But again,
if you like widen the spectrum.
No. If you widen the spectrum, absolutely not. Again, though, when you first told me we were doing this, I misunderstood you, and I thought that it was like your personal top 10 Christmas movies is what you would be choosing, not an overall top 10 Christmas movies. So that is why it's on my list.
Okay. But I mean, would you think that it warrants a Hall of Fame induction as in the Christmas wing?
No, not if you're talking about overall on the big spectrum of things. No.
Okay. So we're leaving off Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
All right. So let's see. So far we've got It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, Muppet Christmas Carol, Bad Santa and Gremlins or maybes.
Okay.
And Die Hard. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 8.
Confirmed?
So we have
6.
8 confirmed.
6 definitely in, 2 maybes.
Okay.
We've still got 2 open spots.
Got it. Okay.
So let's see. Adam, what was one of the ones you had on your list?
So one of the ones I had on my list that nobody else did was White Christmas.
Okay.
So reason being that it's on my list. And I'm in the same boat as Jen on this. It's one that I watch every Christmas. So personally, to me, on my personal list, it's on my list because it was my mom's favorite Christmas movie. But in the wider spectrum of things, it's super iconic. It's got Bing Crosby in it. Bing Crosby is synonymous with Christmas. You can't go a second without turning on the radio during Christmas time and not hearing Bing Crosby sing something. It doesn't even have to be White Christmas. He sings a lot of Christmas carols. So It's also got Danny Kaye, which is referenced in Christmas Vacation.
The minute
I
you
mean,
said you started talking about Ben Crosby, that's the first thing that was playing in my head.
Yeah, so like when Santa squeezes his fat white ass down that chimney, all gonna find the jolliest bunch of assholes since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny fucking Kaye. So, um, it's iconic enough for that line. It's got to be iconic enough for Christmas Hall of Fame. And let's be real, it has one of the quintessential Christmas carols, White Christmas. I mean, it plays every Christmas, and it doesn't even have to be Bing Crosby singing it. Multiple artists have covered this song, including in Home Alone. We get the boom boom version of White Christmas.
Mhm.
So this movie, I think, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, that's a pretty solid case. If I can be totally honest with you for a minute, I've never seen White Christmas.
I haven't either.
It's a good film. It's mostly about, so it's one of those movies that happens during Christmas time. It's not about Christmas per se, but it's got Christmas in the title. And it's about these couple of war vets saving their old sergeant. This sergeant has a hotel in Vermont, which they all end up going to Vermont to go see the snow. White Christmas. They want to have a White Christmas, and then they end up at this hotel. They realize their old sergeant owns this hotel, and it's going under. There's not a lot of business, so they decide to bring their stage show to this hotel to draw in business. And of course, they sing and dance and tap dance, and there's lots of different Christmas songs. It's a holly jolly time. So,
all right. Well, we will put it in the strongly maybe pile.
okay.
I know I have Home Alone 2. As much as I love it, I think since Home Alone's in, can't put Home Alone 2 in there.
Okay.
And I mean, if we're choosing between Bad Santa, Gremlins, and White Christmas, I would choose one of those three before I chose Home Alone 2.
Home Alone 2 is a great movie, though, and I think you're right. It while it doesn't live up to the hype of the original one, it still revisits the original one in a way that it's not redundant.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not a rehash.
Plus, it's got Tim fucking Curry in it too.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only performance of Rob Schneider's that I actually can tolerate.
Well, is it because he gets gum stuck in his hand? Because that's hilarious.
It could be. Jim, what were some other ones that you had on your list?
I had a few on here that I think Adam and I also had. I had Elf, and I had the Santa Claus.
Yep.
Excuse me. I believe, and then I had How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I also forgot to mention that it was the Jim Carrey version that I had chosen as well. So those were three additional ones that Adam and I had that you didn't have. Russ.
Okay. Elf, I think it wasn't on my list, but I think Elf has to be.
Yeah, it's become kind of a cult classic. In a sense. I mean, I know it did very well at the box office, but
I think it's probably the most popular Christmas movie of the last 25 years.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, Elf has to get on here.
I agree.
The Santa Claus, I didn't have that one on my list either. I remember we were talking about it last week on the Dumb and Dumber episode that me and my friend Jeff one day in mid-December, we spent an entire day at a movie theater because we had nothing to do and it was like kind of shitty outside. And I think we watched the Santa Claus and Dumb and Dumber, I think 2 or 3 times a piece of the movie theater.
Oh my God.
We snuck in a Street Fighter viewing too. It was a palate cleanser. I haven't seen the Santa Claus in quite a long time, so I don't know how well it holds up.
It holds up pretty well, I think. But that's just my opinion. That's just like my opinion, man.
That's just like my opinion, man. I think I think the Santa Claus, you said you had the Santa Claus on your list too?
I did.
I think if we're going, as much as I hate to say it, I think if the Santa Claus would probably get a stronger consideration over Gremlins.
Really?
Yeah.
And in the Hall of Fame sense, if we, and I really like Gremlins too, I would like for it to be on the list, but in the Hall of Fame sense, if you were inducting this into like a baseball Hall of Fame, does Gremlins hold up to the Santa Claus as much?
Does Bad Santa hold up to the Santa
That would
Claus
be another
as
one
much?
too. Yeah.
To me, Gremlins would hold up over Bad Santa. As much as I love Bad Santa, if you're talking about overall top 10, I think Gremlins would beat out Bad Santa.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll put the Santa Claus in the maybe category, and then we can whittle them down from there.
Okay.
Miracle on 34th Street.
Oh yeah, you had Miracle on 34th Street. This one, okay, so I didn't have it on my list, but it was one of those ones that I might have bumped How the Grinch Stole Christmas off of my list for. So, and I know that Jen and I both had How the Grinch Stole Christmas on our list, but I really like Miracle on 34th Street.
Well, the issue I have with the Grinch is I like the Grinch, but they've done it a couple times since they had the animated one. But I think all the adaptations of the Grinch are still overshadowed by the original cartoon.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I prefer the Boris Karloff version. I mean, for the Thurl Ravenscroft rendition of You're a Mean One, if nothing else. Like, that's iconic. So,
yeah, I that would be my argument against the Grinch getting in the first time. It's just the fact that, like, as good as it was, it comes in second place in terms of like the telling of the Grinch.
Yes.
okay, yeah. I really like Jim Carrey though. Like he really pulls it off.
Well, I do too.
No, I think you're right.
Expressed our love for Jim Carrey last week.
Yeah, we did during our Dumb and Dumber episode, which we already did a cheap plug for. But it
never hurts to have another one
again. Yeah.
Okay, so the Grinch has been bumped off. I think Miracle on 34th Street. I think it has its case is similar to It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
true.
It's little kids believing in Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is actually real.
Yeah.
Kind of what the Santa Claus is to an extent.
Mm-hmm. It's got the same kind of feel to it. And then, but see, I like the Miracle on 34th Street. The reveal of Santa Claus being real a little bit better because he like leaves his cane in the house and like the lawyer and the mom are just like, really? Like that's good. That's some good cinema.
Well, I'm putting it in the maybe category for right now. Just because maybe give us a little bit of a talking point. Is there anything I'm leaving off? Because I've gone through my entire list.
Well, let's see. I also had Jingle All the Way on my list.
As much as I adore Jingle All the Way, I don't think it holds up to some of the other ones.
You're right. No, it's a very 90s movie, and I feel like we already have the thing I want for Christmas the most category filled with A Christmas Story. So.
Right. And plus, it's not Arnold's strongest stab at comedy either.
Yeah. I like Phil Hartman in it, though.
Yeah, Phil Hartman's good in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in terms of the other ones, if we were doing like contemporary Christmas movies, then yeah, I might have a case, but
agreed. Yeah, we can bump Jingle All the Way off.
Is there anything else you had on?
There's nothing else that I had on my list, no, but I just can't believe no one had Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh, dude.
I just thought of that. I just thought of that movie for just some reason. It popped into my head. And it's actually like that you guys were talking about like Santa being real. And that is a lot of that movie is Santa is portrayed as just a real life character in that movie and comes into the real world and Ernest finds out.
Now,
And
if we are doing personal favorite Christmas movies, Ernest Saves Christmas would have fucking cracked my top 10 for sure.
Would it?
Because when I was doing this list, I had it I think I had it like on like number 6 or 7.
Yeah, I was gonna say I knew it would be up there for you.
I fucking love Ernest Saves Christmas.
I do too.
It's my favorite Ernest movie, which I think is like after Goes to Jail, they kind of get a little stale.
Yeah.
But I fucking adore Ernest Saves Christmas, and it totally would have made my list if this was just like our favorite Christmas movies, or but it's a Hall of Fame,
like what I thought it was.
Yeah. But yeah, Ernest Saves Christmas is fucking legit. I definitely would put it on mine for sure. Okay, so I think we've gone through everybody's list now.
Yes, as far as I know.
I'm looking at mine. Hang on. Yeah.
Okay. So we have in for sure. We have A Christmas Story, It's a Wonderful Life, Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, The Muppet Christmas Carol, Die Hard, and Elf. So that's 7 locks.
Okay. What do we have in the maybe category?
For 3 spots.
Oh, shit.
We have Bad Santa, Gremlins, White Christmas, Santa Claus, and Miracle on 34th Street.
That's
the
5.
original.
Okay.
That's 5 maybes.
Well, yeah, but for 3 spots.
Oh, for 3 spots. I see what you're saying.
Okay, so 5 maybes for 3 spots. Okay, I'm gonna throw out my vote for White Christmas being on the list. I think that it should be. I know that you haven't seen it, but it is pretty iconic in Christmas history. And I feel like if this were Baseball Hall of Fame, it would be on the list.
It's a first ballot.
It is first ballot.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it, but I think it's a really iconic film. I think it has essentially the same case as like It's a Wonderful Life and Miracle on 34th Street. Mm-hmm. I think that one too has to be on here for the same reasons that It's a Wonderful Life's on here.
You mean what? Miracle on 34th Street?
And White Christmas.
Yeah.
I think they both get in for just...
I was actually going to suggest Miracle on 34th Street, even though I've never seen it either, just because of how iconic it is.
Yeah, the original is really good.
I highly recommend it too. I mean, you get to see Winnie the Pooh as a drunk Santa Claus, so
nice.
That's always great.
Okay, so we're putting White Christmas and Miracle on 34th Street in.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now that leaves 3 movies, 1 spot left.
Correct.
Bad Santa,
3
Gremlins,
movies,
and the Santa Claus.
Yes.
I would say the Santa Claus over all 3. If I had to pick one out of all of those, it would be the Santa Claus. For me, anyhow.
What about you, Adam?
I think I would agree with that. If we're looking at it purely from the perspective of first ballot Hall of Famer, I mean, man, do I want Gremlins on there? It's between Gremlins and the Santa Claus, but I think I agree with Jen.
Now, see, mine would be Bad Santa and Gremlins over the Santa Claus.
I know. See, as much as I love Bad Santa, I can't sit here and say that Bad Santa would appeal to the masses more so than what the Santa Claus would.
I would say, if anything, we knock Gremlins out because there's going to be some people that will make the case that Gremlins is not a Christmas movie. It's just a horror movie that takes place during Christmas.
Okay. And I mean, I had on my criteria that only one, unconventional Christmas movie. I mean, if we have to have an unconventional Christmas movie on the list, it should be Die Hard, I think.
Well, and plus it's pretty much a running gag that Die Hard makes every Hall of Fame list that we do. Okay, I'm cool taking Gremlins off, but I think Bad Santa has a good case over the Santa Claus.
Okay.
Well, I think it's just the fact that Bad Santa is kind of, in recent years, it seems like it's kind of the anti-Christmas movie.
True.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the fact I haven't seen the Santa Claus in a long time, but I don't really remember it.
It might be because you haven't seen it in a long time. It's a pretty memorable movie.
Jen, do you have anything you want
to? 90s best for sure.
Well, this is like peak. This is like Tim Allen was this in Home Alone. He had the number one movie at the box office, and he had the number one television show on TV at the same time.
With Home Improvement, yeah.
If I'm picking it apart, because I do love both movies, the only thing that I can say about Bad Santa, obviously they're very different movies in terms of Christmas movies, but what I can say about what is better about Bad Santa, generally speaking, versus Santa Claus does kind of seem to take a while to get going, as far as, it's a little boring at the beginning, and until it really, to me anyway, and until it really gets going, it does kind of, at least when I first saw it, I'm like, where's this going? Like, what's happening here? I would say that's probably the first 20 minutes or so of the movie. And then once it gets going, it's really, really good. Now with Bad Santa, on the other hand, again, completely different sides of the spectrum, but Bad Santa is just good from the jump. Like, as soon as it starts, I mean, you have Billy Bob Thornton drunk in a bar. Just from the get. Everybody else is happy. They're having a great time, just, in their local watering hole, talking to one another. He's just fucking miserable, sitting at the bar with a cigarette and I think a glass of whiskey, scotch, what have you.
He's basically like me at Christmas time.
Yeah, and then he just goes outside in the alley and just gets sick. And I think he pisses against a wall, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So that's like the first 5 minutes of the movie. So when, you're invested at that point, like, what is this guy going to do next? With the Santa Claus, it's like, what is he doing? Is he going to stay in corporate America? Is he going to go out and save the world at Christmas and go deliver, toys to kids? Is he going to let, the other Santa Claus is gone. So what's he going to do? Is he just going to like ruin, the magic of Santa for all the kids in the world? You really don't know. So that would be my only, if we're nitpicking it or what have you, or trying to pick it apart, those would be the biggest two things for me with the Santa Claus versus Bad Santa. Santa Claus is just a little slow getting started.
Play devil's advocate there. Just the opposite side of the coin for the slow burn of the Santa Claus. I feel like it's him realizing that he's the one that doesn't believe. And like the childlike wonder of his kid is basically, turning him into, the true believer. Right. So like at the beginning of the movie, he's mad that Charlie's mom and Neil,
played by the wonderful Judge Reinhold.
Judge Reinhold. I feel like they were telling Charlie it's okay not to believe in Santa Claus, right? And then he says, no, that's not okay. I want my kid to believe in Santa Claus. And the only reason he's saying that is because, he's the divorced dad, right? So he just wants to be, antithetical to what they're saying. And he doesn't actually believe in Santa Claus, but he wants Charlie to believe in Santa Claus because, he wants to be the fun dad, right?
Right.
And then the slow burn of the movie is him realizing that he's wrong and that he should have the childlike wonder. Believing isn't seeing, seeing is believing. The whole, theme of the movie. And I like that theme. I think that it plays that really well with the slow burn. And I know it's not like, from the get-go, great, but I feel like it's okay, to have that slow burn at the beginning. And that's just me playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, that's a fair point, though.
I I would say that the tiebreaker that we put in the Santa Claus is the fact that I think it's the bigger box office hit. More people have seen it. It spawned a franchise. And on top of that, it's kind of like, I guess, the Santa Claus is like kind of like essentially like what Christmas is about, especially like, contemporary Christmas, like Santa Claus. It's the good of Santa Claus, not a degenerate.
I'm good, Ash. Or I'm bad, Ash. You're good, Ash. Goody little two shoes. Goody.
All right, let's see. 1, 2, 6.
That should be 10.
Yep, that's 10. So I'm bumping Bad Santa off for the Santa Claus. Okay. So are we good with this list?
I'm good.
Adam?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay. So to recap our Hall of Fame list for Christmas movies, the first ballot Hall of Famers are It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, The Muppet Christmas Carol, Die Hard, White Christmas, Elf, The Santa Claus, and the 1947 Miracle on 34th Street. That is your list of Hall of Fame Christmas movies that you should go out and watch. Watch them all in the next 2 days. Most of you guys and gals are off anyway, so watch them all.
I think all of those are heavy hitters. I think that's a good list.
I think so too. That's probably going to make most people. That's probably would be most people's top 10, with the exception of the assholes that want to argue about Die Hard being a Christmas movie.
They don't count.
No, they don't.
No.
All right, I like that list, gang. Good.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is going to wrap it up. Thanks, Jen, for coming on. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That's going to be our last episode for the year. Like I said at the beginning, Adam and I are going to take a couple weeks off to enjoy the holidays with our families, but we will be back first week of January with you know what we should do?
What's that?
There's a sequel to a movie coming out in January that I told you and former guest Steven that you should watch. I think that it's the time I round up you guys to discuss that movie.
Okay. All right.
And it leads right into the sequel coming out.
I like that. Okay.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm all for it.
First week of the new year, be sure to subscribe. We're going to talk about Den of Thieves just in time for Den of Thieves 2 Pantera coming out on January the 10th. I'm fucking excited about this one.
Yeah.
I think that's when I make my return to the movie theater.
Yep.
We're
going to have to do.
But yeah, we will be back first week of January with all new episodes. Be sure to follow us on our socials. I will leave the links for those: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, all that in the show description. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review if you dig what you heard today. We do appreciate any of those 5-star reviews. Have any comments, questions, concerns, shoot us an email. That is also in the show description below. So we hope you guys and gals have a very, very happy holidays, and we will see you at the first of the year in 2025.